we call it right wing or left wing, but it's actually pro Modi, anti Modi.
I think journalists, like all individuals, have opinions.
China wants to come unipolar world where they are the one thing. That is Xi Jinping's wet dream.
Never underestimate the voter. They know what is happening in the country.
What is the future of our country according to you? Why don't we do a little breakdown of voter education? You're
Okay.
the right person for it.
Be aware in the sense of read newspapers, watch television, see podcasts, go into YouTube. If your roads are not to your home, if the garbage is not being picked up, if you are unable to breathe the air because of the pollution, these are things which are not being done. Ask questions when people come to you for their vote, or punish them because it's not being done. I'll tell you one example is that long ago I was covering the campaigning of this person called VP Singh, who became Prime Minister of India. He was considered Mr. Clean. He's the one who brought about where reservations were given on the basis of caste. So he's the one who dethroned supposedly Rajiv Gandhi because he brought the whole Bofors allegation. And everywhere he was talking about how he brought rights for the so-called untouchables of India, the Dalits and the other backward castes, and he was talking about all of them. And after he left, then I spoke to the villagers, and when I asked them, he said, "Aap inko vote denge?" He says, "Haan, hum vote denge na. We'll vote because he's a Thakur, we are a Thakur." And I was like, I went to interview him. I said, "Listen, you keep talking about, that you've made the lower castes of our country stronger because of your legislations. Those people are voting for you because you're upper caste and they are upper caste." He just didn't have an answer.
Okay. What are our flaws?
We are a noisy democracy. So we are people who will voice our opinions. We have our diversity, which is our strength, but the diversity also causes fissures in our system. At the same time, there are people in this country who believe that despite all our diversities, we are one country, we are one nation. It was a unipolar world, just America. Then there was the G2, that Russia to hati gaya tha, Soviet Union hati gaya tha, Soviet Union broke up, and there's Russia. Now there's China. China has a worldview that this America is a dying, decaying power, it is us. Europe is anyway falling apart because of various reasons. So China wants to come into that single unipolar world where they are the one thing. That is Xi Jinping's wet dream. So he wants that, all right? He wants to be there. Here is an India which is rising and coming up. So it doesn't suit anybody's purpose. Some countries have policymakers who are smart enough and say that, hey, here's a country which is going to become super $1 trillion economy, and we are still in $1 billion economy. Let's join with them. Let's have trade routes with them, free trade agreement with them. While we talk about, that make in India, we should be self-reliant and all, we also look at the world that it's one world. So when you do something good in your country, you share it with others. There is a maturity which is coming in our country now. We're not looking at people who went out of the country as a brain drain. We're looking at them now investing back in our country, right? There's a give and take that happens. So there's a larger worldview, and we are more confident. Your generation is going to get ultra more confident about it. Yeah. Don't shy away from what we are.
What is the future of our country according to you?
My apprehension is that it will become more and more authoritarian and less democratic. Democracy will be that you go and put your vote in, and that's it. Proper democracy is a lot more than that. It's the freedom to express yourself. So that's one way we can go. And the other is that one thing, I have great faith in the people of India. Never underestimate the voter. They know what is happening in the country.
Do you think that there's truly religious segregation in the government's mind? That's the common criticism you hear, at least in cities.
Yes, I think it's a vote-catching device, which is very wrong. Politicians should try and win votes by offering things like Mr. Modi did in 2014. He said, I want development for this country. That was his theme. Polarization along religious lines is when you have nothing else to offer.
When you talk to a Muslim, a Christian, a lot of Sikhs, a lot of Buddhists in the country, there's a different kind of emotion in their heart. They do feel ostracized.
That at election time tend to bring in a religious divide if they feel they need to whip up voter sentiment.
Because as a Hindu young entrepreneur born into upper middle class India, I think I'm in a place of privilege to be having an opinion here. And the honest opinion should come from the minorities. I generally sense a feeling of discomfort in their hearts about their own safety, about their own sense of being Indian, etc. I'm talking to them for like an hour each at least. So you do gauge where the other person's heart is at. There was a strong sense of doing the right thing in order to make money, in order to make us geopolitically stronger because of the geopolitical climate of our times. Within the country, they're focusing on infrastructure. So I said that, if you divide the country for votes, you're not doing this economic game a favor. Because if we truly want to grow as an economy, everyone needs to be happy and working together and united. And they all agreed. Now, as a political journalist, you don't agree?
At some of the issues, I am not one of those who believes that minorities should have special rights. But I at the same time feel that you deliberately, raise certain issues to create a divide at election time.
Okay.
It's not necessarily a pattern all the time, but unfortunately, it is being whipped up. When they do see themselves as sort of a Hindu Rashtra,
As we're moving forward in time, this line between the world of journalism and content creation is kind of getting blurred. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you have a point. But I think as journalists, that we have more responsibility, I think.
Yeah.
Because we are supposed to be serving a purpose. We are called the fourth pillar of democracy. At the end of the day, I've always said we are all storytellers. We are all telling something to the audience. And the audience has increasingly stopped distinguishing between news and reels and shorts and everything else. For them, what is coming on their phone, they like a video, they don't like a video.
Have you seen The Social Dilemma? It's a documentary about algorithms on Netflix and how algorithms control the whole world now. So for example, in the American silo, everyone's on their right wing or their left wing, and it's usually on two extreme ends. But the same can be said for everywhere in the world. Even India, right now, we call it right wing or left wing, but it's actually pro-Modi, anti-Modi. In this primarily extreme right and extreme left atmosphere, if you're a centrist, if you're apolitical, on top of that, if you're famous and you're an opinion maker, thought leader, you're categorized as one of the two.
Yes, people do categorize you. People do label you. We are in a world where people are always boxed into these different segments, whether or not they think they belong there. Initially, it used to bother me, and I thought that I have to clear the air and say that, okay, I may agree with X person's policy on such and such thing, but that does not mean I'm a cheerleader for that person. And there are two parts to this. One, most of this opinion flows from Twitter. How big is Twitter in India? 1.4 billion people. 140 crores. There's just a handful of people. Maybe there are 200 people with blue ticks and whatever who are calling you Godi media or whatever it is at this. But that's just them. I also look at the audience that is watching me. I also look at the trend in which this country is voting.
I think journalists, like all individuals, have opinion. The way in which the word has come to be understood. Only unbiased journalism is credible journalism. The first newspaper in India was called Hickey's Bengal Gazette, and it was an anti-British newspaper. So was it biased? Because it only did stories against imperialists. As journalists, we are supposed to take a stand against big corporations that are exploiting workers. Are we biased? Yes, we are biased towards workers, towards their rights. So journalists have always taken a stand. The mere decision to say that this is a headline and this is not a headline is an expression of your bias. In every decision that we take, we in some way let our bias speak.